Hey y'all, in this video I'm going to take a couple of steps back thanks to a sharp-eyed viewer by the name of Dirk, who reminded me that I have gotten into creating rectangles, circles, and a few other types of geometry, but I've never discussed drawing a line or a polyline, starting in a specific place, or drawing a line of a specific length. And going back over my videos, he's absolutely right. So let me take care of that right now. I'm using VCarve Pro version 9.5, and they added a few features starting in 9.0 that are not available on 8.5 and prior. And it would be impossible to talk about the draw a line or polyline tool without talking about those features first. And those features are smart snapping and the various snapping options. To illustrate what I'm talking about, we'll get into our snap options now. We'll do that by going up here into the Edit menu and then come down here to Snap Options. Click that and this window opens up here. For purposes of this video, I'm going to just make sure that all of these boxes are checked to include Snap to Grid. And I'll get into this a little bit further in a minute. But I want all of these boxes checked right here. A couple of things to watch for is on our Snap to Grid option here, we have a grid spacing. Mine is currently set to 1/2 inch. And what this is in reference to is all of these dots out here are arranged in a grid on my material and further out over here on my screen. Right now they're spaced a 1/2 inch apart. I can change that if I'd like. Let's say we'll make that 1/4 inch. And when I click the OK button down here, these dots will suddenly be aligned 1/4 inch apart. The majority of what we're going to be talking about has to do over here. This is geometry snapping, and I will explain what this is a little bit further down the road. And smart snapping. This is what we're going to be using here for the most part. The other one to pay attention to here is the snap angle increments. Now the default is 15 degrees. I go ahead and I leave it at 15 degrees. You may decide that you want to change that to suit your needs, be it 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, whatever. You can go ahead and make a change if you choose to do so, but I'm going to leave it at 15 degrees. And I'll go ahead and click OK. And we immediately see that my grid is changed to 1/4 inch dots out here. In addition to using the snapping options over here under the Edit menu, if we look up here at the top of the screen, right above, in my case, 00, we have these 3 icons up here. These 3 icons control some of the snapping features down here. From the left, we have toggle geometry snapping. Now I'll get into that a little bit further pretty quick. Then here we have smart snapping. Then over here we have the grid snapping. Now if you notice, all 3 of these are highlighted in blue. That means that they're all 3 currently turned on. I can tell my grid snapping is turned on because I have the grid out here. Now I don't normally use this. I will on occasion, but I don't normally use grid snapping. So I leave it turned off. And all I'll do is come up here to grid snapping and click that icon, and you see my grid has disappeared and that icon is no longer highlighted in blue. But I can turn it back on and then turn it off as I choose to do so. So that's a brief overview of some of the snap options that are available to us. But let's get into drawing a polyline. Now Dirk specifically asked, how do I draw a line of a specific size and put it in a specific place? With the advent of smart snapping, Vectric has really made this easy. In older versions, 8.5 and prior, it was a bit like text messaging on a flip phone. You can do it, but it was pretty cumbersome. So to demonstrate, let's go ahead and get into it. We'll come over here under Create Vectors to draw a line / polyline, and we'll click that icon. And immediately this form opens up. Now in earlier versions, you had to know where your start point was going to be, where your end point was going to be, the angle you wanted the line, and the length you wanted the line, and use this form here to fill all this out. With Smart Snapping, you no longer have to do that. Let's say for this demonstration, I want a 6-inch line that starts 3 inches to the left of my X0 line here and 3 inches above my Y0 line here. Now I can move my cursor over here, and if you look underneath the pointer and off to the right slightly, you'll see I have an XY display. I also have an XY display down here at the bottom of the screen. Now I can come up here and kind of place this and get it pretty close, but that's a lot of fiddling. Much easier to come up here and use these 2 blanks in the form. What it's asking right now is, where do I want to put my next point? Well, in this case, it'll be the first point. I want it 3 inches to the left here, 3 inches up here. Now this is my 0 line. We're going to the left of 0, which means we're going into negative territory. So my start point in X will be -3. We're going above my 0 line, so as you can see by my Y display below my cursor crosshairs, we're in positive territory. So Y will be 3. Then I'll come over here and I'll click the Add button. And at first it doesn't look like really much of anything has happened, until I get my cursor out here back onto my drawing area, and we see I now have a line attached. The start point of this line is right here at -3 in X, +3 in Y. We also can see, as I move my cursor away a little bit, Smart Snapping, because it's active, has given me a blue line that's projecting the direction I moved my cursor, which is on the same plane in Y, but a different plane in X. Now, if you look down below my cursor pointer, the display has changed to L and A. L meaning length, and A meaning angle. I'm running at 0 degrees angle from my start point, but the length is changing. Now if I drop it down below that Smart Snap projection, we can see that the angle is changing along with the length until I get to 15 degrees. It snaps to 15 degrees. Then I have that 15-degree projection line, so that if I wanted to run it at 15 degrees, I could come out here and use that, adjust my length to whatever I wanted, or 30 degrees, or 45, or 75, or 90, etc., all the way around. So Smart Snapping is really a huge aid in placing the line and making sure that it's going in the correct direction. Now, again, we're after a 6-inch long line starting right here. So all I need to do is I can pull the line, start heading in the direction I want that line to run. Then I can use my keyboard to enter the length. Now, if you look down here, if you look down here in this corner, right in this space here, when I start typing, you'll see the word value pop up. And I'll have a number there. We want a 6-inch line, so I come over here and I type the number 6. And you'll see the word value and 6 has popped up. And if I don't do anything further, it'll time out and just kind of go away. See, I've moved off of that plane and it went away. I want it along this plane. I'll type the letter 6, then I'll hit enter. And it has drawn us a 6-inch line starting here and ending here. Now you notice I still have a line connected to that point. What I've done is I've added another point along this vector here. And these points are 6 inches apart. If I'm finished and I want to get out of this, if we look right over here, it says press the space bar to finish the current line and start a new one. Okay, so if I've got my 6-inch line drawn, I'll just hit the space bar, it breaks that connection, and I can start drawing new lines. But if I exit this form, select this line, come over here under Transform Objects to Set Selected Object Size, we see that the width of my line is 6 inches. The height in Y is 0 because it's a single vector. But I've drawn a 6-inch line starting here and ending here. So let me do that one more time without that lengthy of an explanation so that you can get the gist of it. I'll go into Create Vectors, Create Polyline. I want my line to start at -3, +3. I'll add my first point, come over here, set it on the correct plane, type 6, enter, bring my cursor away, hit the space bar. There's my 6-inch line placed exactly where I want it. Now there are occasions where you know you want a line of a specific length, but you're not exactly sure where you want it, or it doesn't have to have a precise location, a precise starting point. Then that's simple as well. It's prompting us right now. It wants us to add our start point. So I'll just click anywhere on the screen here, left click, and drag my line. Again, I want to go horizontal, and I want to make this one 6 inches as well. 6, enter, bring it down, space bar. So I have a line of a specific length, but not necessarily placed in a specific location. Those are the easiest ways to draw a single line in VCarve. Let me Control Z to get rid of that, and Control Z to get rid of that. The reason it's called a polyline is because, as you've noticed when I started, you don't necessarily have to draw just one line. We can keep it going to draw correct geometry, or geometry we think is correct. And I'll demonstrate that right now. I've already got my next point figured out here of -3, +3. I'll go ahead and I'll make that my starting point. Come back over here and we'll draw another 6-inch line. So we'll go 6, enter. Now if I want to continue that line downwards 90 degrees, I just need to start pulling the line in that direction and go 6, enter. Come over here, 6, enter. Come over here, 6, enter. And I've created a rectangle. We'll select that rectangle to make sure it's a closed vector, which I'm sure it is, and it is a closed vector. I'll show you another neat little feature that Vectric has added to drawing with polylines by coming back over here to draw line. And this time I want to start on my X0, but I want to be 3 inches up in Y. So I'll come over here, my next point, I want it to be 0 in X, 3 in Y. We'll click Add, and my vector starts here. I'm going to go ahead and draw part of a rectangle. So let's go over 3, enter, and I've drawn a 3-inch line. Down this direction I want to go 6, enter, this direction I want to go 6, enter. Up here I only want to go 3.5, enter. Now I want to close this vector. All I have to do is press the Tab button on my keyboard, and that vector is closed. It automatically drew the line from here to here and closed that vector. And I can confirm that by selecting the geometry, come over here under Edit Objects to Join Open Vectors, and we look up here and the selected vector is already closed. So just a neat little aid when it comes to closing a vector that you are in the process of drawing. Now let me delete this and show you a caveat here. You do have to make sure that you still have that same line active. I'll do it again to show you what I'm talking about. Here we'll start at x0, y3, add our start point, come over here and go 3, enter, come down here, 6, enter, 6, enter, 3.5, enter, and then spacebar. So I've ended my vector. Now if I were to come over here to this top point and click to start a line and drag it up and hit the Tab button, I can hit the Tab button all day long and it's not going to join that for me. And the reason for that is I have already stopped drawing the polyline the minute I hit the space bar at this point right here. Well, now I can go ahead and draw my line and connect those two. Hit the space bar to back out, close this, but now if I select, we have two open vectors. It's not a closed vector. Now it's not a problem. I can select both of those vectors, go over here to join. I have two open vectors. I'll have one closed vector after joining. So I can fix it. But the point is, once I ended drawing here by hitting the space bar, using the Tab button will not automatically close that vector. That was my point. Let me go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to draw, I'm going to use the Draw Rectangle tool just to demonstrate something else that's built into VCarve as far as snapping is concerned while we're on the subject. I'm going to create a 4-inch square with square corners, anchor the center of that square on x0, y0. We'll create it. Then I'm going to create another one that is 6 inches by 6 inches on the same anchor point. Create that, then we'll close my form. There's another little tool in Smart Snapping that is very useful. Let's say, for purposes of discussion, I want to create a line here in between this line and this line, but I want it to start out here halfway between this point and this point, somewhere in here, and end halfway between this point and this point, out in this direction here. Smart Snapping comes to our aid there. I'll go up here into Polyline, and I don't have my next point yet. I'm going to find it right now. What I'll do is I'll come over here and I'll hover my cursor over this corner just to kind of wake up this vector here. Then hover my cursor over this corner, and then as I draw back towards that corner, you see how my cursor changes. Smart Snapping will kick in here, and when I reach the midpoint between those two corners, my cursor changes to that shape. I can left click to set my start line. Then drag horizontal this way, and again put my cursor down here and don't click, bring my cursor back up here and don't click, and then start dragging towards that corner, and you'll see once again that reference comes up. And there is my center point along that projection. Left click there, come down, hit spacebar, and I now have a line that is halfway between this line and this line, but starts halfway between this corner and this corner, and ends halfway between this corner and this corner. Now I can confirm this by drawing another polyline starting here on this corner and ending it here on this corner. Spacebar, drawing a polyline from here to here, spacebar, and we see it starts here along this plane and ends here along this plane. So smart snapping can help you find areas between geometry. It can help you reference off of portions of geometry. Let me demonstrate that a little bit further. I'll delete these here just to keep from confusing things. And I'll select these vectors and we'll scoot them over a little bit just to get them out of the way. For this demonstration, let's say I want to draw a circle down here, but I want the center of the circle based off of this corner. I want a reference off of this corner. The center of the circle, I want it on the same horizontal plane as this line right here. So what I'll do is come up here to draw a circle. I want a 1-inch diameter circle, and I want to reference it off of this corner. So I bring it down here to this corner, kind of wake this vector up, and then I start moving off in the direction I want to place that circle. And you'll see how I get that projection. Let's go out here. Let's say I want to put it right at, that's good enough right there. And I click, the center of my circle is on the same plane as this line right here. Conversely, I can do the same with a rectangle. If I want to draw a 1-inch rectangle up here, and I want the bottom left corner of that rectangle to be on the same plane as this corner here, I'll go up into Draw Rectangle. I want to anchor my rectangle by the lower left corner, and I want to make it 1-inch square. I want a square corner, and I'll bring up over here and hover over that corner, then go off in this direction here and place it there. This is geometry snapping. Geometry snapping is not restricted to placing vector objects. They can be used for single vectors as well. I'm going to go ahead and show you a demonstration of what I'm talking about. We'll go over here, draw a polyline. I don't have a starting point coordinate figured out. I want to reference it off of this rectangle here, specifically this top line right here. So by hovering my cursor over this top corner, I can then bring it out this way, and you see that smart snapping projection appear for us. So I can come out here to, wherever, and click. Then I want to come down here and I want to reference the bottom of this line off of this corner right here. So again, I hover my cursor over that corner, then follow the smart snapping projection until my angle reaches 90 degrees, then left click. So that gives me my height there. Now I want to come up here and I want to angle. Smart snapping is going to take it over to 75 degrees. That's what I want to do. But I also want to run at an angle, but I want to reference off of this corner here. So I'll hold my cursor over that corner for a second and project over until I have 75 degrees. Then I can left click, then come back down this direction and reference off of this corner, project over, come back to 75 degrees, and there is that point. I'll left click there, then I'll come up 90 degrees straight up, and again I want a reference. I want the top of this line to be the same height as this point here, and click there. Move it off, hit the tab key. I now have a closed vector. So that's just another aid to help you draw geometry at the correct angle, of the correct length, and referencing off of specific points. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up down below. If you'd like to continue to follow along with this series, or in some of my other CNC adventures, please consider subscribing to my channel. But whether you subscribe to my channel or not, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and y'all take care.